Before we get into these observations, let's just observe something in return. So a progression of events led to Matthew Reason joining the fixated persons unit, wherein he observed certain actions by a certain group because they were Facebook involved, targeted before a memorial event wherein a flyer was created along with memorial, including prayer and raising of a flag in memorial of Anzac, at which Uakis Conan was singled out among hundreds of people and subsequently arrested under very spurious circumstances involving a toy gun. Matthew Reason admits to taking command. Matthew Reason admits to contacting other cities to inform them of participation, and lists 8 or 9 cities in which participation occurred without incident. Ewa is then sent to Silverwater Corrections Facility, if I remember correctly. He is then assessed by this mental health review tribunal within 3 weeks of being out on the street for trying to remember Anzac, to being put into jail for spurious circumstances wherein he's thrown straight before mental health review tribunal. 33. The defendant was referred to the Mental Health Review Tribunal, MHRT, shortly after his arrival in custody. In a report of 8 September 2020, the psychiatric registrar from Justice Health stated that the defendant had been referred to the mental health screening unit in the context of a, quote, a deteriorating mental state, end quote. This is a matter of weeks, like 3 weeks, 3.5 weeks, that this has occurred at the hand of the state, that this is the power of the state against anybody on the street that has an informed and educated history that may contradict that of the state. 34. On 10 August 2020, the defendant was reviewed by staff specialist psychiatrist Dr. Keating. She was asked to see him in the context of a recent hunger strike and to examine whether he was psychotic. She noted the following, open quote, ... went into long detailed conspiracy theories which made it difficult to elicit other history, very fixated and preoccupied by these ideas. For example, I'm of a different jurisdiction. You only have to research international law and read The Hague. That treaty specifically deals with military occupation of this country is under illegal military occupation by the United Nations. I was going to expose it, so now I'm being victimized. The next paragraph goes off slide, so we'll address it in a second. There are selected quotes being taken from, by, at this point, a justice of the Supreme Court who is demonstrating that a certain psychiatrist has made a report in writing and There are obviously certain claims, because we can see in the next sentence it goes on to the United Nations Roman Crown. There are going to be ignorances or lack of knowledge on all parties. That's what my statement's going to be, in that there is a large range of knowledge that would put down that foundation in the first place. So my point of view here is that all parties are going to be shown to be ignorant at this point. Over to the next slide. They, bracket, police, bracket, mocked me, ... because of what I know, ... The government, which is, IS, the United Nations, and also the police, serve the Roman Crown. It doesn't belong in this country. It's actually unlawful under the Act of Supremacy 1688. I asked what the Act of Supremacy is, and I said, I've never heard of it. They don't want you to know it. That's why. There are two different constitutions in this country. One that puts people over the government, and the other puts the government over the people. They don't want people to know their true lineage, their crown, the imperial crown. All started when, I found out the fact that the Australian government isn't who they say they are 6 years ago. I took my neighbour to court, which I did myself because I like to do things myself. Then starting researching the law, that's when I started to realise it all. Found it to be 100% irrefutable and correct. They want to shut me up. When I wasn't so popular on Facebook and YouTube, they didn't care. But now that my message is getting out there, they're getting worried about me. Reports more than 5,000 followers on Facebook, but I'm working with other people that are targeted as well. And later in the interview, RE charges, using a carriage service. I sent an email to a Detective James Gaddard of the Fixated Persons Unit after he mocked me and mocked the information which I shared with him, which is irrefutable. If he is going to mess with the loyal people of this country, he will probably hang. Firearms offence for a gel blaster like a paintball gun, not illegal in other states, denies intent to use it to harm others. They offered me legal aid, but I can't use them. If you read the lawyer's handbook, you will read that all lawyers' first duty is to the court, so how can you trust them? So those are not Jewa's comments. So they are the notes in the doctor's handbook that she wrote at the time of her interview with the defendant, or post that interview, when she made post-interview notes. And those notes have been put on the record. So that is a staff special psychiatrist, Dr. Keating, that has put these notes in a notebook, and the Justice has now put them on the record.